I love the fine variety of macoing that's been going on here today.
Yeah.
Kuda's here for the pain. Talia's here for the juice. Nathan wants to torture his children.
In the woods. We'll read about bears.
Whether you are deep into memoirs or just memoir curious, I've rounded up a crew of fellow enthusiasts to dish on some Canadian gems that are going to hit you, bam, right in the feels. To my right, our very own book aficionado from CBC Books, Talia Kliot. Hello, Talia.
Hello.
Across from me here, the mastermind of content marketing at Rakuten Kobo and a lifelong bookseller, Nathan Maharaj. Hello, Nathan.
How you doing, Antonio Michael?
I'm excellent, sir. And over across from me, a charismatic actress and insatiable bookworm, Kudakwashe Rutendo. Hello, Kuda.
Hello.
Welcome to you all. We're going to chop it up about some memoirs.
Let's do it.
I love it. So, Talia, you are by anybody's standard like the most ready person among ready person. Like you read books.
I don't know. Kuda gives me a run for my money. But
Okay. No, Kuda's saying hell no. And I stand. She's just, that's a humble
shaking
brag. Yeah.
Talia takes me every time.
I believe so. And you read all genres. I was curious. What is it about memoir about the genre of memoir that it brings to the table that other genres of books don't?
well, I think the beauty of memoir is that it has the truth of real life, but with the narrative structure of fiction that makes it compelling to read, that you just can't get enough of. You keep turning pages because a good memoir almost reads like a novel. Because of the way the storytelling is done, the craft, even if it's like a funky way of being told, it really speaks to you and transports you as much as something made up because the story is so remarkable.
And is there something special about the fact that you know this really happened?
Oh, totally. I mean, there's a juiciness to it that you just have to love.
So in Trini, there's a term called macoing, which means minding people's business. We love
I love
people's
that.
business. So we are being good macos here by talking about memoir. So Nathan, what makes a memoir really grab you? What are you looking for in a memoir?
Memoir is about a thing that happened to you during a concise moment in your life, which I think for all of us is just a more accessible format because we might not all have grand sweeping epics that structure our lives, but we've all got some period in our life that makes for a good story. And that's what's great is when a memoir really like locks in on that.
Wow, that's beautiful. So it doesn't have to be grand and epic in scale. It can be the tale of a summer.
Yeah, it just got to be juicy. Just got to be juicy. Bring the juice.
Bring the juice,
Slice of
ladies
life.
and gentlemen. So on that topic, Kuda, I think I know your reading taste well enough to know that you go for the feels.
I do.
And
It's true.
you-
I was like, you do know my taste. I was like, I'm so interested. What am I
Yes. What is he going to say? Yeah, you go for the feels.
I
But
do.
if you're reading a memoir and they're bringing the sauce, bringing the juice, it might get awkward at times. What keeps you reading when a memoir starts tackling difficult subjects?
I will say that for me, I chase difficult topics. So I was like, that's not something that I think that would turn it away. Okay, I think it's an act of witnessing foremost. But I was like, I also crave art in a message. So when I want to keep reading something, I'm looking for the art. I'm looking for you to be reinventing the wheel of storytelling, which is what drew me to my picks today. But I was like, because I was like, obviously, like when I say reinvent the wheel, I'm being very loose. But for me, I was like, play with form, play with how you lead me to these events. I think that's the power in fiction. Memoirs will always be powerful because they're the truth. We know that. But I was like, there's such a craft to writing, and craft is what I never want to be eschewed when I'm reading anything.
So not just the substance of what is being said, but the
how
style.
I was like, how you're
it's
saying
being
it,
said.
craft. I was like, I think no matter what genre, there's always a craft. And I was like, that is the first thing that I look to identify.
Style keeps you going.
Yeah.
Also, we learned on that you are a masochist, so I'm looking forward to your pick. She's like, I look for the pain.
Yeah, show me the painful things.
Bring on the
Make me cry.
Okay, I love it. So, Talia, what's the first Canadian memoir on your list, and why did it resonate with you?
It's called How to Share an Egg by Bonnie Reichert. And this is the type of book that like I will recommend to anyone who has recently asked me, what book are you reading? What should I read? Because this story is so incredibly powerful and touched me in so many ways personally and just in general as a story. It's written by Bonnie Reichert, who's a journalist and a chef and a longtime food journalist. And she's kind of always felt pressure to tell her dad's story because her dad was a Holocaust survivor. She's like felt this heavy pressure on her whole life as she grows into herself as a writer. And she never really knew what her way into this big story, this like hard to tell and painful story would be. And over a bowl of borscht, she kind of has this idea that maybe her way in is actually through food. So she goes back in time, tells the story through the egg that her father and his cousin shared after liberation.
I love that story.
It's just like you get chills just thinking about it.
Right, that's beautiful. And so before we go further, and first of all, I interviewed Bonnie, and so I remember the story. But can you tell the story about the title of the book?
Yeah, sure. So the book pretty much opens with Bonnie's dad and his cousin, and basically they've just been kind of ran away from a death march, and they're about to be liberated, but they don't really know that yet. And they go to a farmer, and they're starving, and they ask for food. And the only thing that they have is one egg to be shared by two people. And that's kind of this way into the story. It's the start of the kind of love and obsession with food that Bonnie's family has. They end up owning a restaurant, and Bonnie goes on to culinary school. And like personally, my grandfather is a Holocaust survivor, and we are also all obsessed with food because of there's this kind of intergenerational feeling of scarcity. And food is such a like prominent part of all their gatherings, all their storytelling.
And what do you think about the way she mingles food with memories?
Taste is such a powerful sense that we don't always think about so much when it pertains to memory. Like you think of sound and you think of smell. And so many of the conversations that we have, the hard ones, the easy ones, the funny ones with loved ones, are all over food.
Okay, yeah, it's amazing to me. I remember judging the CBC short nonfiction contest a while back, and whenever people wanted to remember their most fond memories, they went to food like almost instantly. So that's How to Share an Egg by Bonnie Reichert. Nathan, what's your first Canadian memoir recommendation?
It's All the Little Monsters, How I Learned to Live with Anxiety by David A. Robertson.
Okay, I love it. I also interviewed David. I hope
Okay,
all of these
flex.
books are. I like, yo, I know these
know all
people.
of them.
That's my homie. We chop it up. No, so I know that in this book he's pretty open about how depression and anxiety influenced his life. And can you tell us how he lays that bare in the memoir and how that hit for you?
Yeah, it's an interesting book because preparing for this, I didn't want to dive too far back into it and get hung up on plot points because I'd taken away such a strong feeling, and that I had spent time with this person who was telling me, it was like a friend, and he told me he has anxiety, and this is how it manifests, and this is how it shows up, and this is the pressure he feels to wear masks. Like one of the most striking things, the thing I've really taken away from it is some of the really dirty stuff he just lays out there, that he just puts out there. And there are moments where I'm thinking, I can't believe you wrote this down.
Wow.
Like, you're gonna have to live with this. One of them is talking about his estrangement from his daughter Emily. We read stories of parental-child estrangement. We don't often get the parent's point of view, and we very rarely get the parent's point of view where they say, yeah, she was done putting up with my nonsense.
Wow.
And, it's such a painful thing for it to happen. I can't imagine what it would have been like to revisit and to look at your own role in that and to just own it and see that, no, I let these people down. And this is, like I say, it's framed in mental illness. So he knows he's got a rock solid excuse, but he doesn't take the excuse. He owns the impact of his actions.
Wow.
And that it's impossible to look away because you just don't know what you're going to learn next. And it's so vivid and real. It's a strong brew.
Wow. And so you got to it a little bit, but what's the feeling that this book left you with?
Honestly, kind of a feeling of normalcy, honestly. There's normalcy.
Yeah.
Because it's not an arc of redemption or triumph. It says it in the subtitle, how I learned to not defeat. The verb is not defeat. He didn't triumph over. He's living with anxiety. He hasn't tamed it. These little monsters are not tamed. They're still there. What he's sharing is how he gets through the day now.
Wow.
And things like being frozen in place and not being able to go on stage at a writers' festival. And other people coming to his aid, which was a lesson I think that we can all take, that people are there to help.
Right.
And we would do well to see that. We'd do well to extend that help, to ask people how they are, how's everyone feeling today? That could be a whole other show. The four of us could talk about how
you
we're
feeling today, Nathan?
I felt that inclination.
I'm feeling pretty good, actually.
No, that's awesome, man. And so what I'm getting is that, instead of romanticizing it, he keeps it real, but that makes it hopeful because he actually can face the reality and come out with, I've made peace with these monsters.
He's not going to come to a solution that makes anybody suffering from the same mental illness go, well, that's fine for David A. Robertson, but I'm me. It's no, he's the part, in addition to the estrangement, the part that strikes me is where he talks about a string of time when he was completely unproductive at work. And I think we've all had times. If we've got a desk job, we all know times where we've we have our season and we're like, what happened in that season? I got nothing accomplished.
Right.
And when he lays that out, I think anybody who struggled with mental illness, especially anxiety or depression, I think you can see oh, I've had a season like that.
Right.
But every signal we get from the world tells us forget about it. Achieve something, and then that achievement can cast its shadow and obscure the...
Yeah, and if it happens, don't talk about it.
If it happens, don't talk about it.
No one wants to hear about that.
Just white knuckle through to your performance review, man, and then come up with something. But he lays it out.
That's what's great about memoirs, right? It's saying the quiet part out loud.
Absolutely.
So that was David A. Robertson's All the Little Monsters. Kuda, I can't wait. What is your first pick?
My first pick is Soft as Bones by Chayana Marie Sage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I know that this book...
Did you interview?
Soft as Bones. No, I did not. Straight up, I cannot flex. I can talk about other creep people.
I was going to ask you to connect us.
But Matea Roach did interview
Wow.
Chiana on Bookend. So it's been in the family. Can I claim that?
Yeah, I
can
think
claim
you
that,
I
right?
think,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fine.
it's part
Or is
of
it
the
trickle down?
CBC Books, ecosystem.
So you guys are so reassuring. This is nice. My ego feels warm and cuddled right now.
We could take you down if you want.
Thank you. That's also reassuring. So I read online where a review of this book suggested that her Cree culture and traditions were stitched into it.
Oh, yeah.
How did that hit for you, and how did that change how you read the memoir?
I'm a little sad because I wanted to bring that up myself. Because I thought the same thing. I thought what was most marvelous about this and what really stuck out to me was how at every end, Cree culture and Cree language guided the narrative. There would be Cree words that would introduce a section, and that would become almost like a motif that explained it. Cree stories like Little Warrior and Trickster that goaded it forward. And for me, I think that's one of the most honest ways to tell a story, because we are a culture, we are a people, and that's the foundation of the individual, which seems to be the heart of the story. Because also, Sage is really going through a very intense life. There was a lot of life lived, struggling with her father who abused one of her sisters, was addicted to drugs, the impact that had on her life. Wow. Yeah, and it's how do we even begin to tell a story like this? And I think she does a fantastic job of honoring everyone at every end, but also recognizing that our present is always rooted in our past. So even to begin to talk about herself, she has to talk about her parents and what her parents' life was like. Has to go into the 60s scoop because, as Talia mentioned, intergenerational trauma. And what I found was most profound is that the hope was really found in Cree culture. It was always in Cree traditions that they were using to ground themselves, to express grief, to mourn, to connect, to talk. I thought it was beautiful. I think it's important. And I like memoirs that are very artful and kind of subvert, I guess, like the just recounting a certain section of my life. And I think especially the ways that Sage uses Cree language to guide the story, especially because at the beginning, most of the words had to do with like water or vapor, liquids or clouds, and the most beautiful like words to describe very niche situations about water and about like dew. And then by the end, though, the words shift to be that of like drying, of finally water evaporating or just drying out, and it almost felt like healing. It felt like a chapter, like acceptance almost. And I thought that was beautiful. At no point can you separate what Sage talks about with Cree culture, with Cree history. And even through that, there's another lens, especially now, I think, with, a lot of people unsure and doubting residential schools and reconciliation, grounding ourselves back in truth. I was like, I think it was so potent, so beautiful.
There's history, Cree culture, Cree traditions, Cree language, and the narrative is kind of wrapped in that. And it's through these things that we see the individual, which I thought was so powerful. You find the individual through culture, through what has built them up. The social, I think our social history becomes us in some sense, in some ways. I don't think it cements the legacy of us, but it guides the future that we navigate is our legacy. It's always influenced by what has happened before. And I think that Sage did a fantastic job of just illustrating that, but also honoring it. And I was like, it was moving. I loved it. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. And so, the magic of memoir, I think, is in this sort of alchemy of through the personal, we go to the universal.
Yes.
And so even if you don't know anything about Cree culture, or it isn't yours.
Yeah, and I was like, I think what was really beautiful is you got to hear from so many people in Sage's life. From her sisters, she asked all of her sisters and her mom as well. So like the history was being given from multiple points of view. Right. It wasn't just her guided opinion on what had happened and how she lived it, which we get. We get that. But she interviewed her sisters, her mother, her father's father. So you're getting such a comprehensive and I think nuanced glimpse into these events, which was so powerful.
That's a real subversion of the convention of memoir, which is supposed to be, it's supposed to be personal, and it's also supposed to be sort of forgiven for like not being perfectly factual. Yeah. It's a big risk to go and interview the people you want to talk about.
And I think what's even more interesting about that risk thing is some people would be like she was saying, like her mom would be like, that's not what happened. You're lying. And then she was like, the word lie was such an interesting way because her mom and her younger sister was like, that's not how it happened. Right. That's not how I remember it. So then even when she's telling it, you're like, oh, like, and you're hearing all these contradictory opinions on how these things happened, which I think is great because I think, it goes against conventions.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, as you said, you like memoirs that play with the form, and that seems true to form.
I do.
So,
guilty as charged.
So that was Soft as Bones by Chiana Marie Sage. Talia, what's next for you?
I have Else Ship by Tree Abraham.
Else Ship by Tree Abraham. I love it. And so what can you tell us about Tree Abraham and the writer and this book?
So I picked up this book because I was like just impressed by the juiciness of the beginning of it. Mm-hmm. And then I was just so impressed by the craft and the creativity in it. Right. So basically, Tree Abraham, she's actually a book cover designer. So she brings all kinds of amazing illustrations and fun stuff throughout the book. There's lots of darkened pages and all kinds of, pages from her journal and all of this stuff. but it essentially tells this story of 1 year in her life. She's living in a share house in New York, and she becomes best friends with one of her roommates, and then it becomes more than best friends, and she kind of falls in love with her, and she decides one day on the night of her birthday, she's going to tell her. And the feeling is unrequited. Many of us would pack our bags the next day, leave, and never come back.
The next day,
Okay, maybe
I would
not
just
the
leave
next.
the room, and it's like, oh, now I have to go for a
It's like,
walk and never come
okay.
back.
Well, now I'm gone.
Yeah, I am.
I believe it's Much Ado About Nothing, where she said, "If you do not requite me, I shall eat your heart with a spoon."
Yeah, so she does actually the opposite of that.
No,
and she
okay.
decides in this, like, it doesn't feel like radical to say stay, but she stays. And they live
As
together.
roommates.
Yeah, they live together for the whole year. And their relationship becomes, this is where the title comes in, not a relationship, not a friendship either, but an L-ship.
Oh,
I was going to ask you
wow.
about the
Yes.
title. So what's this juicy beginning you're talking about?
Well, I just told you.
Oh,
That's a juicy
You
So the
wanted more
moment-
juice than that?
Yeah,
so
I
the
don't like
moment
very juicy.
that the moment that she's saying I'm in love with you, that's the opening of the book.
Yeah, and that's the premise. That's what we get on the back. And then you're like, how do you live a year with someone that you love, that it's not this, like, the feeling's not requited, and how do you transform that relationship into something else? And it's so cool because she goes into so much research, specifically talking about I think it's 8 Greek categories of love. And she gets really philosophical, which is, like, normally not my jam. I'm going to be real with you guys. But I was so fascinated by it. Because she talks about the different ways love manifests, platonically, romantically, just love of things. Like, there's this page in the book where she's talking about all the little things she loves. She loves the swish of a sinking basketball, something I can relate to.
Hey.
Yeah. Wild swimming. I don't know what that is, but I think I would love it.
Wild swimming.
Yeah. Is that just drowning?
I don't know if I would like that, but I honor your experience.
Like swimming in the waves. I don't know, but the way she interrogates love and the way we feel about things, and just also her own queerness and relationship with asexuality in terms of this special friendship,
Wow.
is so, like, it's unlike anything I've ever read, because it's she plays with form. She has all kinds of illustrations and diagrams and charts and pages from her diary and found objects and research and poems. It's just like an amalgamation of so much feeling, but it's not just the typical way you would expect to get feeling in a memoir. And
Does it feel like they're processing the hurt and the difficulty through this and through this book, L-ship?
I definitely think so. She's not afraid to be like, maybe I didn't handle this in the best way.
Right.
And, like, it's so interesting to see someone take such ownership of their actions, but also to give themselves the space to feel the pain they're feeling, because
Yeah.
it sucks.
I mean, I think unrequited love is how philosophy started, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so this book has made a philosopher out of me. They've always said they could never do it. Philosophy 101 couldn't do it. L-ship did it. Thank you, Tree. Now I'm just sitting in the shower thinking about my life choices and what form of Greek love it all amounts
The
to.
swish of the basketball. Oh.
Wild swimming.
So,
Exactly.
so that is L-ship, An Unrequited Affair by Tree Abraham. Nathan Maharaj, what is your next choice, sir?
Well, I'm going to try to follow the ontology of love and cringy, juicy openings with How to Survive a Bear Attack, a memoir
You
by
got me
Claire
there.
Cameron.
That is a way to follow.
Wow. Okay. How about, like, Stay Out of the Woods? Like, done. That's the book.
Don't encounter a bear.
Don't encounter.
Thank you. I'll be taking that advice.
So, what is this book about without giving us any spoilers?
Listen, it's spoiling actually won't ruin anything because this is such a woolly, multifaceted, tangled, thorny nest of a book that What is it about? It's about novelist Claire Cameron, who wrote a book called The Bear, which was an international bestseller about two kids orphaned by a bear who eats their parents. Spoiler, happens in the first page. The rest of the book is what happens to the kids. And that was based loosely on a real event that happened on Bates Island in Algonquin Park. This incident, it happened in the 90s. It has obsessed Claire Cameron since then. So she kind of got it out of her system with this novel.
She wrote a book. She wrote a novel about a real life incident, and now she's written a memoir about writing a novel.
She's written the memoir about her obsession with this incident, where she's a bit of an investigative journalist. She's trying to solve a problem because the account doesn't line up. And part of why she thinks it's kind of bothered her all these years is because the story as it's been recorded in the public record doesn't quite make sense.
Okay.
There are gaps here. It's a black bear. This is weird behavior for a black bear. The evidence of the struggle at the island, at the scene where the two campers were killed, doesn't quite make sense. And so she starts interviewing people and learning what might have happened, and people who were there, people who showed up on the island, shot the bear, investigated the scene. While she's doing this, she is also dealing with cancer. She has skin cancer.
Oh, wow.
She has skin cancer that is so severe, her doctor has told her to get it through her head how severe it is. He has told her, yeah, I know you like canoeing. I know you like hiking and camping.
Right.
I need you to look into nighttime scuba diving.
So Algonquin Park is out.
You are no longer an outdoor animal of that species. And so she's dealing with this, with the skin cancer as well, which is her genetic legacy because her dad died of it at 42. So this book is about, how to survive a bear attack, but like, what's a bear? And in this case, the bear is that cancer coming for her. It's also the question of how do you survive a bear attack? Well, that supposes this is in your control,
right?
And it might not be.
Wow, that's fascinating. And so, did you know about this before? Had you read the first book before you read How to Survive a Bear? Had you read The Bear?
I have read The Bear. I took The Bear with me camping.
That's an apt.
That's
choice.
extreme.
Ladies and gentlemen,
With my
Nathan Maharaj.
With my two children.
Did you read it aloud so that everyone could experience it?
Hey, kids.
The campsite, the woods surrounding the campsite has never been better monitored by a pair of human ears.
Right.
But I've read The Bear. It's great. It's harrowing. It's upsetting, and I exercise very poor judgment bringing it in with my reading experience. Yeah. It's a great book, and I loved that. Look, we never get to see novelists revisiting the novel. And this is a funny thing, is because it was such a bestseller, everywhere she goes, this book, The Bear, is kind of a bear stalking her. It keeps showing up because everyone's like, find a bookshelf in Canada that doesn't have the bear on it. Like, you can't go, it's kind of like spiders. There's one within 3 meters of you wherever you are. Right. That's kind of her novel. That's real. Sorry.
Where? At Algonquin? Where are the places?
No, like here.
We gonna need a list of places where the spiders are.
I'll protect you.
So that was How to Survive a Bear Attack by Claire Cameron. Kuda, tell us about your second recommendation.
My second rec is It Must Be Beautiful to Be Finished by Kate Gies.
It Must Be Beautiful to Be Finished.
How poetic.
That's a lovely title. Yeah. Lovely title by Kate Gies. So tell me about Kate Gies and her journey here.
Yeah, so really what Kate Gies is exploring is ableism. Kate Gies was born without an ear. And of course, this has a visible difference when you look, but also internally it impacted her hearing. And notwithstanding that, when she smiles, there's a facial difference. And it's kind of her navigating her journey from a child to when she's to now, basically, essentially, in the medical system. And it was just so profound. I think there's such an art and a craft that comes with being able to show what childhood is like and it feel honest. I was like, I feel like there's nothing more heartbreaking than a child in pain. I was reading it, and I think it's even worse because I think it really causes readers, I think, to examine the medical system, because the whole idea is of like, even in the title, you can feel it. It must be beautiful to be finished. That you cannot be finished until you're perfect, until you're normal, which is really what the book is exploring. It's exploring variant bodies. It's exploring ableism and how we put this pressure on people to present the same.
I think you've hit on one of the most powerful things about memoir is how it creates empathy.
Yeah.
Because you see whatever you believe, even if you disagree with people, if you see the world through their eyes, it's the quintessential take a walk in someone else's shoes, right?
Exactly.
And so when I read the reviews of this, the adjectives that kept coming up were raw, visceral, devastating. How did it hit for you?
I will be honest. It was so painful. I was like, I actually cried.
You a masochist. I
yeah,
know
I
you
was
are.
like,
I was gonna say, like, yeah, let's make sure, please note, we started with painful as a plus.
Yes, I was like,
Yes.
painful as a plus.
That's a 5-star.
I was sopping. I felt like I annotated two things, two heavy statements. One,
Right.
that this was the benchmark of which I would read all memoirs.
Wow.
Big words coming from me.
Okay.
And two, that I said the prose was sopping and beleaguered. And it was like every sentence sometimes felt so heavy. And there was this line where she was saying how like some people didn't even realize that even the asking about the asking was violence. People who are able-bodied, like they see differences and they want to be like, hey, is it okay if I ask? And just to have that articulated so nicely, no, even the asking if you can ask me, it's a violence. And we don't want to do that to people. I was like, just the way the prose impacted me. I was holding so much. I thought it was fantastic.
And you know, people always say that. They're like, well, if I can't ask, then how am I going to know? And I think you just taught us that memoir is how you're going to know.
Yeah, I was like, memoirs are how you're going to know. And I also think, and I was like, I
Facts.
think if people want to share their honesty with us, we can receive it all the time. But I was like, we're not entitled to having our curiosity sated by making other people relive experiences or relive their existence or perform an existence that we want to see. And I thought that was very potent and really hammering that down.
I love the fine variety of macoing that's been going on here today. Kuda's here for the pain. Talia's here for the juice. Nathan wants to torture his children.
In the woods, reading about bears.
No. So
Yeah.
seriously though, has this discussion changed anything about how you see memoir, or maybe deepened your perception somehow about how you see the genre?
I feel like from hearing everybody talk today, I feel like memoirs they're very personal, but they're also best shared. And shared like when the perspectives are shared in the telling of it. And it's not just one-sided, and they're open to the existence of different truths.
I love that.
Yeah.
See, I got philosophical.
There you go.
No, and actually,
She got she
has
found
changed.
philosophy.
if this conversation did change one thing, I'm a fiction girly. I want to just put that out there. I'm usually a fiction girly. And then I changed, I think, how I view memoirs, because I think what we look for in fiction, especially me, I look for, ironically, truth. I want to see that whatever I'm reading, it's fictional, but it could happen. And I was like, here's memoir, it bridges the gap. Fiction is taking an additional step. That memoir it is the truth. And you're just receiving the truth. It's not someone making a make-believe scenario, which is very potent and powerful. I'm a fiction girly. Maybe one could argue, maybe memoir is the best kind of book.
Well, they say
I don't know if I would make the argument.
They say the truth is stranger than fiction, right?
I don't know.
So, I mean, I'll leave this here. Kudakwashe, Nathan, Talia, thank you for sharing your memoir picks. That was so fun.
It really was.
I loved it.
Amazing. Kudakwashe Rutendo is an actor and avid reader. Nathan Maharaj is the director of content marketing at Rakuten Kobo. And Talia Kliot is a digital producer for CBC Books. You can find all their recommendations at cbcbooks.ca. I'm Antonio Michael Downing. Thank you for watching The Next Chapter.